Hello, Mr. Daniels here, reading a brand new book. I'm so excited to bring you Stargirl. This is an amazing book by Jerry Spinelli, read to you by the brilliant yet balding people of Daniels Incorporated. You guys know me maybe from my previous books here, but hey, we're going to tackle the first couple chapters here. Porcupine Necktie and Chapter 1 of the book. And we'll just see how this goes. So I'm going to go ahead and dive into this. Hopefully you can follow along in your books as well. With Chapter 1 here, Porcupine Necktie. When I was little, my Uncle Pete had a necktie with a porcupine painted on it. I thought the necktie was just about the neatest thing in the world. Uncle Pete would stand patiently before me while I ran my fingers over the silky surface, half expecting to be stuck by one of the quills. Once he let me wear it. I kept looking for one of my own, but I could never find one. When I was 12, we moved from Pennsylvania to Arizona. When Uncle Pete came to say goodbye, he was wearing a tie. I thought he did so he could give me one last look at it, and I was grateful. But then, with a dramatic flourish, he whipped off the tie and draped it around my neck. "It's yours," he said. "Going away present." I loved that porcupine tie so much that I decided to start a collection. 2 years after we settled in Arizona, the number of ties in my collection was still one. I mean, where do you find a porcupine necktie in Micah, Arizona, or anywhere else for that matter? On my 14th birthday, I read about myself in the local newspaper. The family section ran a regular feature about kids and their birthdays, and my mother had called in some info. The last sentence read, "As a hobby, Leo Borlaug collects porcupine neckties." Several days later, coming home from school, I found a plastic bag on our front step. Inside was a gift-wrapped, packaged, tied with a yellow ribbon. The tag said, "Happy birthday!" I opened the package. It was a porcupine necktie. 2 porcupines were tossing darts with their quills, while a third was picking its teeth. I inspected the box, the tag, the paper. Nowhere could I find the giver's name. I asked my parents. I asked my friends. I called my Uncle Pete. Everyone denied knowing anything about it. At the time, I simply considered the episode a mystery. It did not occur to me that I was being watched. We were all being watched. Do you guys ever have the feeling that you're being watched? I mean, that's kind of freaky. First of all, does anyone want to humbly admit that you have a porcupine necktie? Quite frankly, I cannot say that I have one myself, but if you have one, I would love to have one. You can send it to me. Anyways, let's dive into Chapter 1 because this is where we get to meet this crazy character on the first day of school. And it makes me think about the first day of school and all the different people you meet. This girl, who goes by the name of Stargirl, is going to be one of the most unique people you will ever meet. Let's read about it. Chapter 1. "Did you see her?" That was the first thing Kevin said to me on the first day of school, 11th grade. We were waiting for the bell to ring. "See who?" I said. "Ha!" He craned his neck, scanning the mob. He had witnessed something remarkable, and it showed in his face. He grinned, still scanning. "You'll know." There were hundreds of us milling about, calling names, pointing to summer-tanned faces we hadn't seen since June. Our interest in each other was never keener during that first 15 minutes before the first bell of the first day. I punched his arm. "Who?" The bell rang. We poured inside. I heard it again in the homeroom. A whispered voice behind me as we said the Pledge of Allegiance. "You see her?" I heard it in the hallways. Heard it in English, geometry. "Did you see her?" Who could it be? A new student? A spectacular blonde from California? Or from back east where many of us came from? Or was it just one of those summer makeovers? Someone who leaves in June looking like a little girl and returns in September as a full-bodied woman? A teen week miracle? And then, in Earth Sciences, I heard a name. Stargirl. I turned to the senior slouching behind me. Stargirl, I said. What kind of a name is that? That's it. Stargirl Caraway. She sat in my homeroom. Stargirl? Yeah. And then I saw her at lunch. She wore an off-white dress so long it covered her shoes. It had ruffles around the neck and cuffs, and it looked like it could have been her great-grandmother's wedding gown. Her hair was the color of sand. It fell to her shoulders. Something was strapped across her back, but it wasn't a book bag. At first I thought it was a miniature guitar. I found out later it was a ukulele. She did not carry a lunch tray. She did carry a large canvas bag with a life-size sunflower painted on it. The lunchroom was dead silent as she walked by. She stopped at an empty table, laid her bag down, slung the instrument strap over her chair, and sat down. She pulled out a sandwich from the bag and started to eat. Half the lunchroom kept staring. Half started buzzing. Kevin was grinning. What did I tell you? I nodded. She's in 10th grade, he said. I hear she's been homeschooled till now. Maybe that explains it, I said. Her back was to us, so I couldn't see her face. No one sat with her, but at the tables next to her, kids were cramming to a seat. I didn't seem to notice. She seemed marooned in a sea of staring, buzzing faces. Kevin was grinning again. You know what I'm thinking? He said. I grinned back and nodded. Hot Seat. Hot Seat was our in-school TV show. We had started it the year before. I was the producer-director, Kevin, the on-camera host. Each month, he interviewed a student. So far, most of them had been honor student types, athletes, model citizens. Noteworthy in the usual ways, but not especially interesting. Suddenly, Kevin's eyes boggled. The girl was picking up her ukulele, and now she was strumming it. And now she was singing, strumming away, bobbing her head and shoulders, singing, I'm looking over a four-leaf clover that I've overlooked before. Stone silence all around. Then came the sound of a single person clapping. I looked. It was the lunch line cashier. And now that the girl was standing, slinging her bag over one shoulder and marching among the tables, strumming and singing and strutting and twirling. Head swung. Eyes followed her. Mouth hung open. Disbelief. When she came by our table, I got my first good look at her face. She wasn't gorgeous, wasn't ugly. A sprinkle of freckles crossed the bridge of her nose. Mostly, she looked like other girls in school, except for two things. She wore no makeup, and her eyes were the biggest I'd ever seen, like a deer's caught in the headlights. She twirled as she went past, her flaring skirt brushing up against my pant leg, and then she marched out of the lunchroom. From among the tables came 3 slow claps. Someone whistled. Someone yelped. Kevin and I gawked at each other. Kevin held up his hands and framed a marquee in the air. Hot Seat! Coming attraction! Stargirl! I slapped the table. Yes! We slammed hands. All right, so quick question for you. You all remember first days of school. What would you do if you were there in the lunchroom witnessing this event? I mean, that's not something you normally see on the first day of school. Someone bringing a ukulele and singing a song about a four-leaf clover in lunch. And another thing that catches me, her name is Stargirl. Like, I'm wondering, did she legally change her name to Stargirl? There's been a few people in society, like I remember an old football player by the name of Chad Johnson. His number was 85, and he legally changed his name to Chad Ochocinco. I'm not kidding you. It said Ochocinco on the back of his jersey. So I'm wondering if this girl legally went to a courthouse to change her name to Stargirl, or if it's just a nickname. I don't know. What do you guys think? Well, you're going to find out as we read through the next chapters of Stargirl. I hope you're intrigued. I hope you're excited to find out, because Chapter 2 is coming your way very soon. Have a great day, guys. Thanks for listening to me on YouTube. God bless.